Okay, so for our grand challenge that we decided to do, we decided to work on one of the biggest challenges that are facing our world today, which is the lack of clean water for millions of people around the globe. And this issue has actually gotten worse recently, especially with the current climate crisis. And so that's why we decided to choose this challenge. So currently, here are a few ways that uh, we can clean water. So the first being the most basic form, which is just boiling water. And there's thermal desalination. There are two types that are shown here. Um, and then the third being just reverse osmosis. So the class of the materials that we decided to use were intercalative ion materials. So the criteria that we used to determine which were good for intercalative materials was ion capacity, which determines the amount of ions that the material can store within 1 gram. And for the material to be useful, it has the capacity to store even more ions per gram. So that's one of the criteria that we used. And the second is the diffusion rate, which is the ability to move atoms throughout the bulk. So whenever it comes to scaling things up for industrial reasons, there are two things that we should consider, which is cost, and then also the reusability of the materials. For historical development, so the first time that an intercalative material was used was for a aqueous sodium and potassium ion battery. And the reason was because they were trying to find a more cost efficient way to create these batteries. And here is a complete history showing the first time that it was used to how it's used now. At first, it did not start off with desalination, but as you can see, towards the most recent years, it has been used more and more recently. And intercalative materials for desalination. So the first time it was actually officially used for desalination was actually in 2011, and here's an image of a CDI cell of how that process happens. And so for the ongoing research, so the current research that is actually being conducted is on improving the capabilities, the capacitative capabilities of the intercalative materials, which is also one of the biggest challenges. And here are our references.